Hello, welcome back to our channel. Today, we will learn about the explosive developments set to shake Salem to its core over the next 2 weeks as Days of Our Lives delivers heart-stopping drama, shocking revelations, and life-altering consequences that will leave viewers breathless from November 3rd through November 14th. Rachel's manipulation exposed. The Halloween festivities in Salem's town square take a sinister turn when Rachel Black finds herself facing serious repercussions for orchestrating a dangerous scheme against Kat Green. The young troublemaker has been exerting pressure on her cousin Thomas DiMera, convincing the normally well-behaved boy to participate in her vengeful plot. After witnessing Chad spending time with Kat, Rachel plants poisonous seeds of doubt in Thomas's mind, persuading him that his father has been dishonest about his relationship with the mysterious newcomer. With her characteristic manipulation tactics, Rachel convinces Thomas that all adults are liars and someone needs to make Kat pay the ultimate price for her deceptive actions. The situation escalates when Rachel devises a plan involving a pumpkin catapult aimed directly at Kat during the carnival celebrations. When Brady Black finally discovers the truth about Rachel's role in pressuring Thomas to launch that fateful pumpkin at Kat, he decides swift punishment is necessary to teach his daughter about the serious consequences of her malicious behavior. Father-son tensions reach breaking point. Meanwhile, Chad DiMera finds himself in the uncomfortable position of disciplining his son for actions that were largely influenced by his troublesome cousin. The confrontation between father and son becomes increasingly heated as Chad attempts to lecture Thomas about responsibility, accountability, and making proper choices regardless of what others suggest. Unfortunately, the well-intentioned conversation backfires spectacularly, creating a rift between the two that threatens to widen with each passing moment. Thomas, feeling misunderstood and unfairly blamed for a situation Rachel orchestrated, becomes overwhelmed with frustration and anger at his father's harsh words. The emotional young boy, unable to process the complex feelings swirling inside him, throws a dramatic tantrum that catches Chad completely off guard. In a moment of youthful rebellion and unchecked emotion, Thomas storms away from his father, running blindly through the streets of Salem without considering the potential dangers that lurk around every corner. The tragic consequence of this impulsive decision comes swiftly and brutally when Thomas crashes directly into the path of a speeding vehicle that has no time to brake or swerve to avoid the collision. Horrifying accident unfolds. The aftermath of Thomas's reckless flight proves devastating as witnesses watch in absolute horror while the young DiMera heir sustains serious injuries from the vehicular impact. Chad and his former love Jennifer Horton Devereaux stand frozen in shock, their faces masks of terror as they witness Thomas being struck by the speeding car in what can only be described as every parent's worst nightmare come to life. The scene transforms from a moment of familial tension into a life-threatening emergency in the blink of an eye, leaving both Chad and Jennifer reeling from the traumatic sight before them. The severity of Thomas's injuries becomes apparent as emergency responders rush to the scene, and the gravity of the situation settles over everyone present like a suffocating blanket of dread, medical crisis, and emotional turmoil. During the crucial week spanning November 10th through November 14th, the focus shifts to Salem University Hospital, where Thomas receives urgent medical treatment following the catastrophic car accident that has left his family shattered. Chad maintains a vigil outside the operating room or intensive care unit, his emotions running the gamut from paralyzing fear to crushing guilt as he waits for any scrap of news regarding his son's condition. The anguished father blames himself for the argument that sent Thomas running into danger, replaying every word of their confrontation and wishing desperately that he could turn back time and handle the situation differently. Medical professionals work tirelessly to stabilize Thomas while Chad wrestles with the terrifying possibility that his harsh lecture might have been the last meaningful conversation he ever has with his beloved son. The waiting becomes unbearable as hours stretch into what feels like an eternity, with each passing minute bringing either hope for recovery or fear of the worst possible outcome. DiMera Empire celebrates amid chaos. Even as the DiMera family grapples with Thomas's medical crisis, Salem prepares for a lavish celebration that includes an extravagant gala and the highly anticipated grand opening of the new free clinic funded by DiMera Resources. The dual events represent a significant public relations triumph for the DiMera Empire, showcasing their supposed commitment to community welfare and healthcare accessibility for Salem's less fortunate residents. However, beneath the glittering facade of philanthropy and charitable intentions, something far more sinister festers in the shadows of the gleaming new medical facility. The clinic's pristine laboratories conceal experiments and procedures that would shock the conscience of anyone who discovered their true nature, suggesting that the DiMera's generosity comes with a dark and dangerous price tag attached. Mysterious laboratory experiments. The supposedly state-of-the-art facility houses more than just equipment for treating Salem's indigent population. It serves as the perfect cover for clandestine scientific endeavors that push the boundaries of medical ethics and human decency. Behind locked doors and away from public scrutiny, shadowy figures conduct experiments that recall the infamous work of the DiMera family's mad scientist, Dr. Wilhelm Rolf, whose resurrection techniques and consciousness transfer procedures have terrorized Salem for decades. Mark Green may find himself thrust into a nightmarish situation when he stumbles upon evidence of these covert operations and realizes the true purpose behind the clinic's creation. The idealistic doctor discovers that the experiments being conducted behind closed doors involve procedures and protocols that violate every principle of the Hippocratic Oath, leaving him trapped between his moral obligations and the dangerous consequences of exposing the DiMera family's secrets. The Phoenix rises again. Perhaps the most shocking revelation involves the potential resurrection of the DiMera patriarch himself, Stefano DiMera, whose death several years ago was supposed to mark the final end of the Phoenix's reign of terror over Salem. However, as any longtime resident of Salem knows all too well, death has never been a permanent condition for Stefano, who has returned from the grave multiple times throughout his long and infamous career as Salem's most enduring villain. The summer preview footage revealed a chilling image of a cryogenic chamber, accompanied by an ominous voice declaring that it's almost time for someone to awaken from their frozen slumber. The distinctive technology associated with preserving bodies declared medically dead suggests that Dr. Wilhelm Rolf's resurrection protocols are once again being employed to bring back someone who should have remained permanently deceased. Given the DiMera family's history of utilizing Rolf's scientific genius to facilitate multiple resurrections, particularly for their beloved patriarch, all signs point toward another miraculous return for the man they call the Phoenix. Dr. Rolf's return to Salem. The reappearance of Dr. Wilhelm Rolf in Salem brings with it the promise of chaos, resurrection, and scientific procedures that defy all natural laws. The mad scientist has dedicated his entire career to serving the DiMera family, developing techniques and technologies that allow them to cheat death, transfer consciousness between bodies, and conduct experiments that would make Victor Frankenstein himself recoil in horror. Rolf's return signals that someone important is about to receive his signature resurrection treatment. And given the cryptic references to awakening and the involvement of Tony DiMera in the proceedings, the most likely candidate is none other than Stefano himself. The Phoenix's potential return would send shockwaves throughout Salem, as his previous resurrections have always brought destruction, manipulation, and suffering to countless innocent victims caught in his web of schemes and vendettas. Tony or Andre, the identity mystery, adding another layer of intrigue to the unfolding drama. Questions swirl regarding whether the Tony DiMera currently walking around Salem is actually the genuine article or an imposter who has assumed his identity. Tony DiMera is scheduled to resurface at some point during this storyline, but his extended absence from public view raises troubling questions about what has transpired behind the scenes. Given that Tony and his brother Andre are portrayed by the same actor and share identical physical features, the possibility of a switching scheme becomes not only plausible, but highly probable. Could Andre have somehow survived his supposed demise and kidnapped his brother Tony, taking control of his life, his relationships, and his position within the DiMera empire? The increasingly nefarious behavior exhibited by the man claiming to be Tony supports the theory that Andre may have orchestrated an elaborate impersonation, fooling everyone in Salem while pursuing his own twisted agenda. Andre has impersonated Tony in the past, making this scenario entirely consistent with his established pattern of deception and identity manipulation. His prominent role in E.J. DiMera's questionable hospital schemes and his apparent enthusiasm for the chaos that Stefano's resurrection will unleash suggests that the real Tony DiMera may currently be imprisoned somewhere while his villainous brother wreaks havoc in his name. Secret schemes and hidden agendas. E.J. DiMera's involvement in the Free Clinic project extends far beyond simple philanthropy or family legacy considerations. The younger DiMera is using the charitable medical facility as an elaborate smokescreen to conceal the outrageous experiments being conducted in secret laboratories hidden within the building's infrastructure. These clandestine procedures bear all the hallmarks of Dr. Wilhelm Rolf's signature techniques, suggesting that EJ has enlisted the mad scientist's assistance for purposes that would horrify Salem's residents if they ever discovered the truth. The financial backing for this dubious enterprise apparently comes from Gwen Rizek von Leuschner, the daughter-in-law of Megan Hathaway DiMera, which raises additional questions about Megan's potential involvement in the conspiracy. If Megan is participating in these schemes, her presence would add yet another dangerous element to an already volatile situation, as her own history of ruthless behavior and questionable ethics makes her a formidable ally for anyone pursuing morally ambiguous scientific endeavors. Action-packed fortnight ahead. The next 2 weeks promise to deliver some of the most intense, emotional, and shocking moments that Days of Our Lives has offered in recent memory, with multiple storylines colliding in spectacular fashion. From Thomas's life-threatening accident and the subsequent medical crisis that leaves Chad emotionally devastated, to Rachel's punishment for manipulating her cousin into dangerous behavior. Every episode will be packed with consequential developments that advance multiple plot threads simultaneously. The mysterious activities in the clinic's secret laboratories, the potential resurrection of Stefano DiMera, and the question of whether Tony or Andre is actually walking around Salem all contribute to a narrative tapestry rich with suspense, intrigue, and the promise of explosive revelations. The grand gala celebrating the clinic's opening will undoubtedly serve as the backdrop for dramatic confrontations, shocking discoveries, and perhaps even the moment when some of Salem's residents finally begin to suspect that something sinister lurks beneath the DiMera family's veneer of respectability and charitable intentions. Stay tuned to our channel for all the exciting developments, heart-stopping moments, and wild twists that will unfold as these interconnected storylines reach their dramatic peaks. Because the next 2 weeks of Days of Our Lives will deliver the kind of unmissable entertainment that keeps devoted fans coming back day after day, eager to discover what fresh chaos awaits the residents of Salem.